We're going where you want to go so you can be where you need to be. It's Road Gang Radio with Lindsay, Lawler, and Jimmy Mack on RadioNemo.com.
Welcome back. I'm Jimmy Mack. No. I'm sorry. Welcome back. I'm Lindsay Lawler. That's Jimmy Mack.
Strike that, reverse it.
Flip it, switch it, change it, rearrange it. Good morning, y'all. It's Road Gang Radio. That's Jimmy Mack. I'm Lindsay Lawler, Phone Master Dre over there, keeping us on the ones and the twos. Speaking of ones and twos and dollars and cents and money signs and being able to talk to you freely for free.
Nothing's
for free. But Joe J over in the chat, yes, we're doing this for free, but it certainly helps. We're kind of an NPR model at this point. Joe J over there is saying, I've decided I'm going to tip my old SiriusXM subscription per month in weekly increments.
Nice.
I can't afford daily because he has 3 teens to feed. Totally get it. But whoa, because you had to pay. Listen, a SiriusXM subscription is not cheap, which is why a lot of people don't do it anymore, us included. And so I love this campaign. If people get on board, whatever you were paying to SiriusXM, give us half of that a month.
That's a post, by the way. I could
give
do that.
Give us a quarter of that a month.
I'd be like, why don't you just get rid of your subscription and just give us half the money?
I love it. And we'll give you quadruple the content.
We actually will.
I will come to your house and sing to you.
Well, that's...
I actually kind of mean that, too.
She does kind of mean that. I promise you. And if you actually manage to get Lindsay to come to your house and sing to you, we'll bring an entire show. Mm-hmm. I will work my butt off to make an entire show happen around her. We will do it.
The first 2 people to commit their monthly series subscription over here will come sing to you. That might turn to 5. That might turn to 10. I don't know. Let's get it going. Let's see what happens.
All kinds of possibilities for the future. See what I did there?
What?
All kinds of possibilities for the future.
Oh, nice transition to our next guest. Duh. Good Lord. Hey, listen, I told you I was not set up for success this morning. I am set up for success in a sense that I'm very excited about this next guest. I love talking sci-fi. We got to dance around it a little bit because we can't give too much away. But because of this next guest's background, this conversation is going to be up both of our alleys. Hit it, my brother.
By the way, we love authors and we love journalists, and sometimes the twain meet. Jeremy Clift is, in fact, a science fiction author and former journalist. He, by the way, takes a specific interest in how space exploration will change us over the next 200 years. His first work of fiction, Born in Space, is part of his sci-fi galaxy series of novels built around the growth of orbiting space habitats and the exploration of asteroids. The idea that how we should have done it, slowly but surely get out there and get those platforms built. Born in Space examines how life might be for the first children born off Earth. What would it be like? Do you have a terrible craving to return home, or are you an extraterrestrial, a space being? Still a humanoid, but in fact, having none of the experiences of a life lived on Earth. Are you really an extraterrestrial? Are you really? All of these questions Jeremy Clift asks in his books, and we're talking about his latest one, Lindsay. I am excited to talk about Space Vault this morning. Former Reuters journalist, Penn's Award-winning, critically acclaimed space travel sci-fi writer, Jeremy Clift joins us this morning. Good morning to Road Gang Radio.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that intro.
Can I start, Jeremy? It's so good to have you. We've been talking a lot about AI around here. And so before we dive into this book and your background, I heard, and Jem, I want you to take on this too. I heard a comment this morning. It was actually by Tony Robbins. And I would love y'all's take on it just from a futuristic standpoint. Because, Jeremy, as you can imagine, we have most of our audiences are over-the-road truck drivers. So as you can imagine, AI is a big topic of conversation around here. And are we scared of it? Do we want it? Do we love it? Et cetera. But the comment I heard this morning was, it's not that AI is going to replace you. It's that somebody who knows how to properly use AI is going to replace you. And I kind of loved that because it sort of put the power back in the hands, whether it be a truck driver, any commuter, or writer, but anywhere. So if you don't mind, just starting there real quickly, being a writer and a journalist yourself, I'm a songwriter in Nashville, Jeremy, and I don't believe that it's going to ever replace us here from an emotional standpoint. From a writing perspective and your work and research, How do you feel about that comment? It's not that AI is going to replace us, it's that people that understand how to work with AI is going to replace us. Does that resonate to you?
Well, I think if you can use it well, it will really improve your output. It can help you a lot with deep research, and I've used it for research about space travel and things like that. What type of engine you might use, what type of chemicals could be found on a certain planet. These type of things will enhance your research. So AI is going to, in some ways, improve our lives, in some ways threaten us. I don't think it's going to replace truck drivers, for example, although you might get autonomous driving trucks, but I think we'll still need human elements in there. And so the AI is going to be some wonderful new tool, or is already a new tool to enhance what we do. And I think everybody will become familiar with how to use it. It's going to be in your kitchen. It's going to be in your car. It obviously will be flying planes. So it's something hurtling towards us that we need to cope with.
And by the way, in case you guys haven't figured out, one of the reasons I was so excited to get Jeremy on the show, Lindsay, is that he understands, and the books understands, as you go, and I have two questions for you. First of all, you actually have an obsession to some degree with logistics about how things get from one place to another. People just aren't on asteroids in your books. They aren't just on other places or on platforms or biotech areas. They actually had to get there, and a lot of that discussion goes on in your books. I was really curious, though, because I didn't read the other books. I kind of jumped into the middle of this. Can you talk a little bit about how you actually create a universe with its own set of rules that looks into the future, that has recurring characters, and at the same time you are then able to make sure that a reader can jump in? Because it's one thing to do it with a spy thriller. That's pretty much kind of a standard golden plot. You give a little exposition, you move on. But talk about how you build a world where you're constantly reacclimating people to what that world is, and talk about the world rather than the plot of Space Vault.
Right. Well, I've so far I've written two books. Space Vault is the second book. The first book is called Born in Space. It starts off in a not too distant future. The idea is to think, okay, where are we headed next with this accumulation of new technologies? So you have genetic engineering, CRISPR, things like that, which are changing medicine. You have AI, you have climate change, you have possible exploitation of the lunar surface fairly soon with the Artemis program going there. You have already robots in the house, and the pace of change with creation of robots is remarkable. So all these things together mean that the world is going to change very rapidly. And I was trying to think through, okay, what's it mean for us as humanity? And the first thing I could think of is, okay, space tourism is not going to happen. I don't think there's going to be a hotel on the moon or something, at least initially. The most likely thing is that there will be orbiting habitats going around the Earth, a bit like cruise ships. So nowadays, old people can go on cruise ships all their lives and live on a cruise ship. In a few years' time, I think there'll be orbiting habitats for all kinds of different purposes, some for fabrication of new technologies where you take advantage of low gravity, some for educational purposes, some for training, some for medicine. In this book, in the first book, Born in Space, it imagines a medical habitat in which the doctor is growing body parts in low gravity. And the next stage is to create children in space. And it's very difficult to create, it's very difficult for women to have a full term in low gravity. So the implication is, okay, you're going to have to grow humans in incubators, which has been done with sheep and things like that. So It imagines a series of children born on a space habitat, and the mother who donated the eggs, she feels for them and wants to be in touch with them still. And so it's about these 7 children. So the setup for the whole series is these 7 children born in space and what happens to them.
Okay, so you go into this in the book. We don't, of course, we have to be a little careful here because we do want people to read it and give too much away. But what's fascinating to me is the idea of thinking of, being station born, how that changes identity, between identity, law, family, all these things. So can you touch a little bit on sort of the what new traditions replace the Little League and the prom and those kind of things, how new traditions emerge from being station born?
Yeah, well, this is a question because the children born in space, they grow up with Earth-based education. So nursery rhymes are about Earth, and the tales that they hear about are about Earth. And so they need a whole new series of things on their space habitat. And this will mostly be about stars, I think, about what they can see. But they need games as well, maybe low gravity type of games. And in fact, in the first book, there's an accident where the child thinks he can fly and actually can't, and hits the deck and has an accident. And part of the story is about how he recovers and is transformed into almost like a superhuman with an exoskeleton to help him recover from that.
And that's, like I said, and it's this kind of stuff that makes these books so interesting, because that, Lindsay, I've been thinking about this for a while, that, so much of what we tell our children, and we were talking about it this morning, by the way, as we were talking about Halloween, about the movement from using ghost stories to scare children to using them to comfort them, and that so much of telling stories to people, we're always telling people parables so that they have reference points for the world around them. And so you have to kind of, in creating this world, you have to not only imagine what they would like to be living in that world practically, but you have to kind of then imagine what it's imaginatively like. I mean, and that's the second step of world building that sometimes doesn't happen. It happens in Tolkien, it happens in a few other people, but they don't take the next step, which is that, if you go to outer space and you live there all your life, that your mythology, that in many ways a lot of the Greek gods and goddesses don't make sense. In many ways that fairy tales don't make sense because the kids don't know what a dark forest is, right? So you're having to kind of come up with an entirely new mythology to kind of actually help these children acclimate to the world that they're born in. There's no reference point. And so much like not having gravity, they have no point of reference. You're almost trying to figure out ways to ground kids as they're floating in no gravity. Is that kind of what you kind of have to do?
Well, I think you have to create some form of new education, and I think clearly it's going to be science-based rather than mythology, but you might bring in all kinds of new ideas to them and new contacts, so that in these books there are actually alien contacts, and that can have an influence on what you tell children.
Okay, so this is the follow-up to it. I want to make sure I got it straight what you just told me beforehand. So in the first book, a little boy not understanding that he can't fly, and in fact, he just was like getting by on not having gravity, hits the deck, breaks his bones, but then he is told, never having experienced a broken bone or any sort of accident like that the bones are a new development to actually protect him and heal him, and now he has a superpower. Did I get that right?
It's not a superpower, no. He's given an exoskeleton which will strengthen his body and create. You can actually use them now. If they exist now. People can have them for disabilities and things like that. In this case, it's a mixture of exoskeleton and another form of DNA that is infused into his body that creates a stronger person.
So for this book, you say that this is in theory 40 to 80 years out, somewhere in there. So I'm curious if we look between both the book and your own speculation, that what, Jeremy, specific milestones between now and say 2065 make your world actually plausible?
Well, the first book begins in about 2065, and it imagines that there's already exploitation of the moon, that there's construction on the moon, it becomes a way station for further exploration of planets such as Mars. You need the moon as a base to refuel rocket ships and things. You can use the H2O on that exists as ice on the moon to break it down to create new power sources. There's also helium on the moon.
Helium-3, right? Helium-3
Yes.
is what's on the moon. That's really valuable, right?
Yes, so you can use that. So the moon becomes a refueling center for further exploitation of other places. And obviously the first place is probably going to be Mars, with Elon Musk's desire to get there and exploit that. So the moon will be the whole of what they call low Earth orbit, which will include the moon, will become a sort of industrial zone. So you'll have space habitats in low Earth orbit, just as you now have huge number of satellites. But you'll have other habitats in low Earth orbit, plus you'll have a refueling center on the moon and maybe other construction. So obviously, once you've reached the moon, the ability to blast off from the moon requires far less power because of the lower gravity up there. So it will be a good place to construct things. You can use what's called the regolith on the moon, which is the dirt of the moon. You can use it to build other things, such as the structures of useful arrays and things like that. So the moon will become something integrated into the global economy.
It's terrifying.
So there's a plan. Speaking on the moon, there's a planned moon mission next year. It's scheduled to launch around maybe April or so, and they're sending a crew of 4 out. They will fly around the moon. They will not land, and then there'll be a subsequent mission, apparently around 2027, where they will try to land on the moon. So with all that being said, Jeremy, what single capability from that mission, from this actual mission, if it works, would you say would meaningfully change our future on Earth?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I hope these missions go ahead. They keep on getting delayed a little bit, but it'll be fantastic for humanity to return to the moon. The moon landings were hugely influential in my life. I watched them live when I was a kid. I was living in England at the time, and I watched them from a little camp, and they were huge, made a huge impression on people at that time. And I think, again, man going back to the moon and establishing something permanent there. It's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be cities on the moon. There's going to be establishments. So you might have research centers, observatories, factories, a lot of robots doing stuff. Maybe there's not going to be that many people there. But it will be a huge step in the integration of what they call the eighth continent. It will become integrated into the global economy. You'll start to have asteroids being mined. You can, in the book, it imagines that you actually capture some asteroids and exploit them. Asteroids are hugely valuable. And we're already talking about how to deflect asteroids from hitting Earth again. You can also try to capture one, maybe snare it or something like that. And there's technology and ideas about how to do that. So what it envisages is integration of all of this into the global economy and society.
Jeremy, we were talking about you before you actually came on the show last night, and we've been wanting to pick your brain. So as you can tell, we're as much involved in talking about space exploration. A lot of this book, though, by the way, is set on Earth, guys, just to kind of give you a sense of this. And of course, that old chestnut, as Lindsay likes to say, the old chestnut of a fight for resources is one of the heart of the matter of Space Vault, the Seed Eclipse. At the center of it is a number of both promising possibilities for the future of agriculture and some really dark end games. Your books don't live in utopia or dystopia. They live in the struggle between them, which is where we live all the time. Can you kind of talk about the role that agriculture on Earth plays in this book?
Well, it just sort of takes things more extreme from now. So it imagines it's a sort of dichotomy between preserving heirloom varieties of seeds and things, which this imaginary seed vault on the moon captures seeds from all around the world, or houses seeds from all around the world, including heirloom varieties of all kinds of things that might be useful in the future, contrasting that with corporations that are trying to make food, mass-produced food as now, but also as generic as possible and maybe long-lasting as possible. Just like nowadays bread or something is filled with all kinds of things other than wheat. So you have this contrast between corporations trying to do one type of thing and, in this case, individuals who are creating this legacy, the space vault that houses the legacy of humanity.
I'm so curious, Jeremy, with all your expertise. We're talking, by the way, this book is fabulous. Clearly, it's. Wait, is there an audio version? I meant to ask.
I've only done one audio version. Born in Space has an audio version on Audible and Amazon.
Okay.
The second one, I haven't done Space Vault yet. The audio, maybe you could advise me on this, because audio now, there seems to be a lot of trend towards using AI for audio. The first book I did, Born in Space, I deliberately chose a human narrator. I went out of my way to have a human narrator, and it's beautifully narrated by a lady called Gabrielle Gums-Gordon. It is expensive to have a human narrator, and maybe you can give me a perspective on.
We will do it for you. Please keep it. Please keep it human.
Keeping it real.
That's Jeremy.
I would love to have your voices on it. It would be fantastic.
Done. We're in, because that is a big part of us making sure we keep the show over here live. It also lives later as a podcast, but we are live. We do not edit it, and that is something that we can do to ensure we stand apart from AI. So I say that.
Okay, well, but I was interested that I think companies like Audible are pushing AI for audio.
They are.
I'm not
because
sure
it's
why.
Well, here's why: because they can get more people doing it quickly and accessing because it takes a long time to do it. To have an actual person do it, and they can turn them out quicker if they have AI.
I deliberately held out against that. I have used AI for advertisements.
That's okay.
I have got a bit of pushback from some ads that I've created with AI, and people don't like it really. On the other hand, you think so much you see on things like X, Twitter, is AI. So it seems like in some ways, a reasonable shortcut for certain activities.
Yeah, and by the way, I have a suggestion, by the way, for people who actually run X and stuff like that. I think that maybe we should have a program to replace all billionaires with AI and let them become the new billionaires, and then we can redistribute what they've got going on. And by the way, later on this week, we're going to be welcoming Dion Graham, actually tomorrow, the very, very accomplished actor who is the new reader for a new Audible edition of the Martian Chronicles. And I have to tell you, having heard AI stuff and having heard Mr. Graham do his reading, we are not yet there. I would recommend highly against it. I mean, for instance, the four winds whisper secrets true, pointed to Shiko needing to listen closely to the subtle cues or advice that life.
He's auditioning for you right now. Is it working, Jeremy?
Yeah, so
is it working?
Sounds much better. Yeah.
Well, you can head over to jeremycliftbooks.com to check out this book, Space Fault, and the previous book as well, Born in Space. Jeremy, I have to ask you, if contact came tomorrow, because you hint at potential contact, that's referenced in this book. If contact came tomorrow, in your opinion, which human institution would handle it best? And which would melt down first?
I'm not sure about who would handle it best. Yeah, and it also depends on how it comes, doesn't it? There's a lot of talk about this thing moving through space, and people think, this might be the first contact coming towards Earth. But I think it's going to be scientists who meet first with any contact.
I still think it's a mistake
if they haven't already.
If they haven't appeared on Joe Rogan, though, it's a mistake. How do we win people over? I'm being totally unserious about that. Thank you.
Joe Rogan's an alien. Joe Rogan's an alien. Did you not know that?
Actually, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I think it's mandatory to go on him first.
Yeah, you get the widest possible audience, and then Joe can use his head as a solar panel to power whatever needs they have. Thank you so much. You like that? That was well done. Thank you, Jeremy. You're welcome back anytime, man.
Okay, well, I will really seriously be in touch with you about the second book audio.
Yeah, let's go.
You have Claire's email, which means you have us. You can also write us both at roadgang@radionemo.com.
Hey, and by the way, Jeremy, Claire, who booked you on the show, is a sound designer. She can record it. She's a great voice. We'll do the voice. Let's take back our voices, guys.
Hey,
we are here for you, Jeremy.
Given the structure of the book, Jeremy, multiple narrators. There you go.
That's what I would like. Yeah.
Done. JeremyCliftBooks.com. Go get Born in Space as well. These will help you pass the time out on the road or wherever you are. Jeremy, have the best day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.